Sometimes you have fits that just don't work after a while. And when it comes to new acquisitions, the bumps, what can happen when you get a new coach or a new player or a new whatever, things can become very drastic, especially in the momentum-based sports such as hockey. So today, we are talking about how the Calgary Flames and Vancouver Canucks Elias Lindholm and Andrei Kuzmenko trade may have just inspired huge change for the fates of the Calgary Flames. Today we're talking about how one Andrei Kuzmenko himself may have, in a way, revived the seasons and careers of guys in Calgary, and in particular, Jonathan Huberdeau. Because when it comes to the way Kuzmenko had made his debut with the Calgary Flames, everybody remembers this was from a few nights ago. Everybody talked about how within the first few minutes of Kuzmenko's new team, with a new sweater, with new line mates, he ended up scoring a goal. Beautiful play set up there by Jonathan Huberdeau as they enter the Boston Bruins zone. Huberdeau stops up on the blue line. He centers it in front for Kuzmenko, who wastes no time dragging, shooting, and scoring. Not to mention the very next game where you saw Andrei Kuzmenko get yet another shot and a goal to put the Flames up on the board. Now, if you go over to Andrei Kuzmenko and his overall game log, he's got 21 points in 43 Vancouver games and 2 goals and 0 assists in 3 Calgary Flames games. Again, these are not the same numbers like he had produced last year, where he was shooting at 20-something gosh darn percent and almost at 40 goals, but Andrei Kuzmenko, in a new change of scenery and a new fit, especially playing for a team that he had to waive his no-trade clause to get traded to, this is a brand new opportunity, and it's one of these things where when you acknowledge the Vancouver Canucks point of view, you could understand why they did this the way they did. Kuzmenko was a fan favorite, yes. Kuzmenko was well beloved, yes. You could very well say that his personality was valued in the locker room and amongst the fans, but Kuzmenko was playing on a team that's literally first overall in the NHL right now, and they had a system that allowed them to get there. That system just did not work with the way Andrei Kuzmenko likes to play the game. Not to mention his shooting, his scoring, it was drying up. He was a $5.5 million contract extension who got the money because he scored a bunch of goals. What happens when you don't score goals? Hey, your value tanks. And so when Andrei Kuzmenko was included as a cap dump in a trade for Elias Lindholm, a player whom the Vancouver Canucks see more value in because of his skills and intangibles, you had yourselves Kuzmenko needing that change of scenery to bolster up his own career, and it's been pretty good so far. You can see the energy, you could see his bright smile, his, Kevin James-like smirk whenever he goes out there and gets interviewed. Calgary Flames fans love him, and Kuzmenko is 28 years old. If there's a time for him to bolster up some more value in this league, play at a certain pace that allows him to be justified making $5.5 million this season and next, then Calgary Flames fans are going to have no difficult time supporting Kuzmenko. But when it comes to that line mate of his, Jonathan Huberdeau, placed on the first line and probably being in a spot where, for the first time in a while, they're not playing with the idea of getting any defensive hockey in mind. Huberdeau, Kuzmenko, and Igor Sharangovich, none of these guys are like top-of-the-line defensive players, so you could understand why this would be seen as sort of a new direction. But after Kuzmenko was placed onto Huberdeau's line, you had yourselves a tweet like this going out there and spelling the damage. Big Hit Hockey said this: Jonathan Huberdeau, since Kuzmenko came on, 3 games played, 2 goals, 5 points, which is first in the NHL, plus 2 net takeaways, 3 straight wins, and now they're 1 point out of a playoff spot. Huberdeau also has a 68.73% 5v5 expected goals for percentage. What the hell? That's crazy. And some of the replies go out there and say all the points that Huberdeau has had, primary points. This is a revival story in the making, and it all happens to have been because of Andrei Kuzmenko. Now, you could say, oh, Kuzmenko may not have been the only contributor. You could say that Igor Sharangovich is helping out too. Yeah, that's fair. Hockey lines are hockey lines. You're not playing with one guy out there, you're playing with 2. But for Andrei Kuzmenko and his certain style of play, where he is more of a catch-and-release shooter at his best. When he's confident, he can hold on to the puck, make some fancy moves, make some nice dangles, make some good passes, but the entire year for Kuzmenko in Vancouver just saw that style of his get torched and cooked. He was not doing his defensive assignments, he was not doing his forechecking assignments. As a result, he was getting benched, as a result, he was getting scratched. As a result of that, his confidence was going down the drain, which led to him making poor decisions with the puck in a fearful attempt to not screw up. Rick Tocchet's system in Vancouver was good for almost every Vancouver Canuck, just not him. So now, he's in a new opportunity. Again, he had to waive and allow himself the right to get traded in order to get traded, because he was initially not eligible to get sent over to Calgary, but he gets sent over to a new team. Their forechecking is different, their playmakers are different, and now he's got that spark. We had talked about this in a few videos ago in regards to Jonathan Huberdeau and his huge slump, but part of the reason why Huberdeau went from the guy he was in Florida, 115-point caliber pace guy, all the way to what he was in Calgary, which at this point in the season is on pace for 50 points, we talked at length multiple times about how part of the reason this is so is because of the offensive style change between Florida and Calgary. Matthew Tkachuk was able to do a seamless transition because he's pretty good, but when it comes to the way that both the Flames and the Panthers like to attack on the rush, especially when you had Daryl Sutter here in Calgary, things were looking pretty bad because Huberdeau couldn't adjust. It's like Rick Tocchet's system in Vancouver with Kuzmenko, it just didn't really fit with the style of game that he has. So there's a new coaching staff in Calgary, there's a new line mate here for Huberdeau, and as a guy whose 115-point season was accomplished literally just 2 years ago, you could very well say that the 115-point pace profile still exists in Huberdeau. You just needed to do a little bit of digging to get it out. Now you have all these pictures of like Huberdeau and Kuzmenko coming to the arena together. They're smiling, they're laughing, all the interviews are good. Kuzmenko's talking about how Huberdeau is a good playmaker. Huberdeau talks about how Kuzmenko's acquisition is good too. Like, of course, nobody's disrespecting Elias Lindholm. It's just a different style, right? Now that Elias Lindholm is not in this team, and this first line with Sharon Govich, Huberdeau, and Kuzmenko can go out there and focus only on offense, this is going to be interesting, especially since Kuzmenko has been held back by that philosophy that defense is a primary thing he has to focus on. Of course, he can't be a defensive bum in Calgary, but he could probably focus on it a little bit less than Rick Tocchet's desired outcome. So let me know your thoughts in the Calgary Flames fandom if you are believing in Andrei Kuzmenko and his impact. This trade could very well be seen as a win-win. And it's because of things like these, because Elias Lindholm has had a pretty good role with Vancouver. He's more useful to the Vancouver Canucks and Rick Tocchet's system than the entire experiment that we have seen here with Kuzmenko. But for Kuzi coming over to Calgary, what are your thoughts on his impact on Jonathan Huberdeau? It seems to be all positive, but of course, that's just me looking in from the outside. He's been scoring goals. Huberdeau's been scoring points. He's been scoring a 68 freaking percent 5v5 expected goals for percentage. That is nuts. Like, that is above and beyond exceptional, that kind of production rate. It really does mean that Huberdeau's offensive output ever since Kuzmenko got added on has been so much better than before, that the Calgary Flames seem to be getting a lot more shifts with better dominance and offensive chances and fewer chances against, and the timeline makes it so that once Kuzmenko made his debut, that's when this started happening. So if you're a Flames fan, has Huberdeau really been that much better? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, how much Andrei Kuzmenko has influenced this progression. If you're a Canucks fan as well, how does this make you feel? Are you happy for Kuzi? I personally am. The guy's a great personality. So he was a fan favorite here for a while. He may be a new fan favorite in Calgary. We'll see. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.